Lesson 2.2, Adding Integers. The additive inverse is the opposite of a number. So instead of using the word opposite, you may hear additive inverse. Example 1. Using a number line to find the sum. 4 plus negative 9. You always want to start at 0, and from 0, you can move positive 4, which is to the right. Now that you add positive 4, add negative 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why did I move left? Because it was a negative 9. So I move left towards the negative numbers. So move 4 units to the right and then move 9 units to the left. And what number are you at? Negative 5. When you are adding different signs, the rule is that you subtract. So different signs that you're adding, subtract the two numbers, you will get 5. Now, which is the bigger number? 9. So I look over in my original problem, and that is a negative. Again, just subtract the two numbers, ignore the negative sign, and subtract the two numbers. Add the sign at the end for whichever number is bigger. Let's try B. B is negative 7 plus 8. So you can start at 0. I'm going to move to negative 7. And now from negative 7, I'm moving positive 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it was 8 units to the right because it's a positive 8. What number are you at? Positive 1. Again, different signs, you want to subtract them. Ignore the sign. So just take 8 and 7, subtract, you get 1. What number was bigger, 8 or 7? Well, 8 is bigger and it's a positive, so the answer is 1. Part C is negative 5 plus negative 2. I put the parentheses around the negative just to show the difference between an adding and a negative sign. So using the number line, I start at 0, I go to negative 5. From negative 5, I'm adding another negative. So I continue down the negative side of the line, which is left. Go left 2. What number are you at? Negative 7. These are the same sign, and if it's the same sign, you want to add. So just ignore the signs and add the numbers, and then what's the sign that they both have in common? A negative. For numbers 1 through 4, if you would like to use the number line, you may, or you could just use the fact that when you're adding and they're different signs, you want to subtract, ignore the signs and subtract. If they're the same sign, you ignore the signs and just add them, and then keep the same sign. Pause the video and solve these problems. Number 1, different signs, so I want to subtract. You end up with 5. Which number was bigger? Well, 11 is bigger than 6, so 11 is positive. Your answer is positive 5. Number 2, different signs, so you want to subtract. You end up with 7. Between 3 and 10, which one was bigger? 10. Go back and you can see that it was a negative, so your answer is a negative 7. Number 3, same sign, so I'm going to add them together. Answer is 12. Because it's the same sign, I keep the sign that they have in common, which is negative 12. For number 4, they're different signs, so I'm subtracting. You get 0. Well, 0 does not have a positive or a negative. It does not have a sign, so it's just 0. Example 2. Find the sum negative 14 plus 5. Remember I told you in the previous slide that when you have different signs, you subtract. This only applies for when you are adding or changing subtraction to adding. When it's the same sign, you just add them together. Okay? This one, you take the sign of the bigger number. Okay? Technically it's called the bigger absolute value, because when we ignore the sign, we're changing it to a positive. Sign of the bigger number. And this one, keep the common sign. So, different signs, we subtract, you can see. So 14 minus 5. You end up with 9. Which one was bigger, 14 or 5? 14, it's a negative 9. And again, you can see they ignore the sign or use the absolute value, which is 5 and 14. Subtract them. And the sign of the number with the greater absolute value, which is 14. You can check this using a number line if you are still confused about how to do it. The additive identity property says that when I add or find the sum of an integer and 0, the answer is always that integer. Think about it. What's 3 plus 0? 3. So what's negative 7 plus 0? Negative 7. The additive identity is 0. I can take any number, add 0, you will get back that same number. Example 3, adding more than 2 integers. Use the left to right rule of order of operations to find the sum. So going left to right, negative 56 plus 0 is negative 56. Then add negative 164. They are the same sign, so I'm just adding. What is 164 plus 56? 6 plus 4 is 10. 6, 7, 7 plus 5, 12, carry the 1. You have 220. However, before you do anything else, before you put down that that's the answer, what is the sign? Common sign is negative 220. For B, go left to right. You can see this is the same sign, so I'm just adding them. $101. Negative, because they're the same signs, we use the common sign. Now I have different signs. Different signs mean I subtract. Okay, borrow from the 10, make it a 9. This becomes 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. Was 101 or 76 bigger? Bigger absolute value was 101, which is a negative answer. Negative 25 is your answer. Example 4. You start a bank account. The table shows the deposits and withdrawals of the account during the first month. How much money is in the account at the end of the month? First of all, you should know that deposits are going to be positive numbers and withdrawals are going to be negative numbers because you're taking money out. So we are going to add all of these together to find out the balance, which is the amount of money at the end of the month. So let's do 675 minus 80. Because they're different signs, we need to subtract. Oops, that becomes a 5. That becomes 17, excuse me. 595, positive. Now we want to do 595 plus negative 25, so we're still subtracting 25. Different signs. 570. Now we add because we deposited money. $738. And now we subtract or add negative 40. 8 minus 0. Borrow from here because you can't do that. And you get, oops, don't make that a 3. 13. Let me try that again. 13 minus 4 is 9. Bring down the 6. You have $698 in the account at the end of the month. Please pause the video and try numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. For number 5, you have the same sign, so all you need to do is add and then keep the sign, which is negative. Number 6, add the first two numbers, you get 19, plus negative 51. These are different signs now. So what do you do in different signs? You subtract. You borrow from the 5 because you can't take 9 away from 1. Make this a 4. Add 10 to this, so it becomes 11. 32. Now, which one was bigger, the 51 or the 19? Bigger absolute value was 51, and it's a negative. I will show you the answers at the end so we can check. Number 7. Again, the first two, so we are adding because it's the same sign. And now we add to that negative 68, but because it's different sign, you want to subtract 68. I'm going to borrow from here. That becomes 13. 5. Can't take that away, so let's borrow from here. Make that 12. This is 6 and 3. And then finally, you add negative 365, but that's subtracting because it's different. This was a positive, this was a negative, and it's 0. Number 8, add these two because they're the same sign. And then add 193 to it because they're both, oh, this is actually a negative. Be careful. That's a negative because they're both negative, so that becomes a negative 756. Be careful because I almost missed that too. And what happens when you have a negative plus a positive? This is negative. Again, if you need to rewrite the problem so you see it, do that. So now we're here. We are subtracting. So 756 minus 193. You have 3, 15, 6, 5. And then, which one's bigger? Negative 756 because it has a greater absolute value. So this is negative 563 plus 113. Different signs, so we are subtracting still. 0, 5, 4. And then, is it a negative or a positive? Well, 563 is bigger than 113, absolute value, and so it's negative. Let's check those answers. And that is correct.